Deathbringer here. I heard a human once wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. Fool! He should have grabbed his gods by the throat and made them build him a new world with Tailspire. Dun 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 da. That makes no sense to me.
You're supposed to do it Beavis and Butthead style.
What is a Beavis?
This past week, I was contacted on X by Tabletop Prophet, who asked, PDM, I saw this on YouTube Shorts and I thought of you. I'd love to see a video with your thoughts on it. The video in question features Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators and writers of South Park, and they're teaching writing to a group of NYU film students. I can't show you the video because I'll get demonetized. I include a link to it below. It contains some great advice for not just writers, but dungeon masters as well. This topic was big on Reddit a couple of weeks ago. Some trivia. Matt and Trey write South Park much in the same way a dungeon master plans their next session, just a week ahead of time. That's why the show is so topical. And the tip they give can reduce your prep time by as much as 70%, and your players are going to love it. And we talk about it today on Dungeon Craft. Welcome to Dungeon Craft. I'm Professor DM, and this channel is about all things tabletop role-playing games. And if you're into it, Deathbringer, tell them what they should do.
Like, subscribe, bell, comment, newsletter, Facebook, X, and Patreon for bonus content.
Thanks for the suggestion, Tabletop Prophet. I'm going to include a link to your video below. I'm also going to include a link to a channel called Stephanie Plays Games. I wrote this script last week, and I was doing some crafting one evening for an upcoming campaign diary. This is what I'm working on. And Stephanie's video came up, and it was about the same topic. So I tried to create a video which would complement hers, and I urge you to check out her video at that link below. So in the video, Matt Stone says, we found out this really simple rule. We can take the beats of an outline, and if the words and then belong between those beats, it's going to be boring. What should happen is between every beat you've written down, you could put the words therefore or but. As in, this happens, therefore this happens, but this happens, therefore this happens. A disclosure, am I talking about scripting at a game? No. Do I think role-playing games or movies or television shows? No. We're talking about emergent storytelling, which runs very contrary to the many popular adventure paths that are published today. It's one of the reasons I didn't care for Vecna Eve of Ruin. The players are charged with recovering the rod of 7 parts, and they go to this realm, and then this realm, and then this realm. No provisions are given if they fail to get one of those parts. It doesn't matter what your players do, what decisions they make, they're just going to go to the next section. Personally, I find that boring. In an emergent game, a story unfolds organically as a result of the player's decisions. The pros are you get player autonomy. Their decisions really impact the world around them, and that creates a more immersive experience for the players. And for the game master, it reduces your work by probably at least 70%. I have a 30-year campaign, and I've never planned more than a session ahead because I don't know what my players are going to do. Maybe they defeat the villain. Maybe the villain's going to defeat them. Maybe the villain gets away and swears revenge. I just don't know. I have played campaigns where the game master planned 3 or 6 sessions ahead, but we never got there. It seems counterintuitive, but if you actually want a longer campaign, you might consider planning less. And what the game master needs is just 2 scenes. You have to have a conclusion and an inciting incident, and the players are going to do the rest. The conclusion is that final scene. It's the dragon's lair. It's these towers. I don't know how the players are going to get there, but that's where the scenario ends. The inciting incident is as old as Shakespeare's Hamlet, when he is visited by his father's ghost.
Hamlet, I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain time to walk the night, till my foul crimes are burnt and purged away. Listen, avenge my most foul and unnatural murder.
And now Hamlet knows exactly what he's got to do, avenge his father's murder. I did an adventure some years ago called Macbeth, and ever since then people have been asking me for a Hamlet module. And I have to explain that Hamlet is essentially every D&D game. The players have a clear objective, and then they spend the next 4 hours making overly complex plans and going on side quests. But the point is, Hamlet's got a very clear mission right from the get-go. Then you got to work on that climax. That's where you should put most of your work. My climaxes always have a bunch of moving parts, like there's always not just a monster, but some sort of treacherous terrain and timers, and that's where I'm going to do a lot of my work in my notes to make sure that I can run things smoothly. If you want to run a game this way, you have to develop one particular skill. If you've ever watched Matt Mercer, GM on Critical Role, he is focused like a laser on his players, like he's really listening intently. His players are the protagonists. They do something, he reacts. They act, he reacts. Forget about what you want them to do. Listen to what the players actually do. And it can be really tough. I always recommend, especially newer game masters, have fewer players. I think role-playing games work best if you have 3 or 4 players, 5 at the max. To go beyond that, you really have to be an expert. Listen to what the players say, react to it, and at the end of the session, ask your players where they want to go next. And then they have to stick to it. It gives them autonomy, but then you still have ample time to plan the next session. So what does this look like in practice? Imagine the Caves of Chaos. I did a whole series of videos years ago called the Caves of Carnage. The players go in to the owlbear lair, kill the owlbear, bring its head back to the tavern, where the tavern keeper pays them 50 gold pieces to stuff and mount it. And because of that, the tavern becomes famous, with people coming from miles away to see the owlbear head. But because of that, it attracts other adventuring parties to the Keep on the Borderlands. One of those adventuring parties is Max's Marauders, and they're led by a boorish jerk, Max Mannheim. And now Max's team wants to pilfer the Caves of Chaos. So the players have to race against him before he clears out caves and takes their treasure. And what about that empty owlbear lair? Maybe a dragon moves in. That's emergent storytelling. Another game I ran, it was like an LA noir kind of thing for the Dread role-playing game. I don't know if you've ever played it. It's got those a Jenga tower instead of dice. And it was based on like the Black Dahlia murders, Chinatown, LA Confidential, that kind of thing. And the players are detectives investigating a murder and corruption. And so the 2 police officers uncover this conspiracy and all this corruption in the LAPD, and they bring the information to their captain. And I'm listening to them as they describe all the stuff they found. And what they don't realize is the captain is the bad guy. They're actually telling the bad guy their plans, and I'm thinking, and it's great, it's fun for me, because I'm laughing inside, thinking, oh my gosh, they don't realize this is the guy that's behind it all. Now, I knew that game would end with a shootout of some sort, either on a docks or a warehouse, so I had the captain send them on an assignment to investigate this warehouse, and when they're inside, every single corrupt cop from the LAPD swarms them. Now, I knew it was going to end in a shootout, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to get there. My players decided that, and it resulted in an exciting adventure that I couldn't have predicted. So it's surprising for them, and it's surprising for me. And I have done way less work. Now, I'll be the first to admit, emergent storytelling takes courage. It means giving up a lot of control to your players and having the faith that they're going to make good decisions. But let's face it, your players probably aren't going to do what you want anyway, so why not embrace the chaos and just go with the flow? That can be scary, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And more often than not, it's taken my game in surprising directions that I never could have planned. With emergent storytelling, your players get more of a say in their world, and it becomes a more immersive experience. And you, the game master, have to do way less planning. It's a win-win for everybody. At least that's what I think. What do you think? Share in the comments below. Also below, you'll find a link to Dungeon Craft Patreon, where you can get bonus content. In this video, I take a deeper dive into a book called Hamlet's Hit Points by Robin D. Laws. And you can get a Deathbringer mini at the link below as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And may all your rolls be 20s.
I can't believe I trained at Cambridge for this. But as long as you're here, why don't you click on the Reviled Society or the Lost City?